Hello and welcome to The Archive.
Aye.
So, I'm your host today, Ewan Patterson, and joining me today is Dan the Man Boyle. Yeah! And next to me is Sam the Sound Lord Glover.
I am Sam, man.
So, as you may have noticed from both the thumbnail and my friends here doing very silly voices, we are talking about the worst. Best of the worst. Best of the worst. Best villains in the MCU.
Okay.
The big, bad, naughty boys.
The naughty people.
I have to say, I did struggle with this one. I don't feel like they've got many.
Yeah, we had to. I came up with the proviso that we're not allowed to choose anybody from the Netflix series or the TV series.
Yeah.
Which severely limited our pool of villains.
Yeah.
So let's start things off. Sam, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Dormammu, because...
Who?
Dormammu is the great colossal entity that of Doctor Strange. He's the dark lord of the dark realm. He is that big cosmic thing. That Doctor Strange tries to tricks at the end of the film.
He's come to bargain, basically.
Yes,
Right, fair enough.
He's this big colossal force that's trying to just take over this universe. He genuinely is a very good interpretation from the comics, and I thought he was good because he technically Doctor Strange had to cheat in order to beat him. He didn't actually beat him. He just made him give up.
Okay, so Dan, what's your number 5?
My number 5 was, he says as he gets his list out, my number 5 was Yellow Jacket.
Okay.
Yellow Jacket, because I didn't mind Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man, and I also feel like he was one of the villains who wasn't out to actually mess with everybody. He was just out to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and he was going a bit crazy as he went along as well.
He was going a bit crazy when along, granted, but he was mainly there just because he wanted to make a few pounds.
Yeah, my number 5 was Baron Zemo, or Colonel Zemo. Because he's the one...
Again, who?
Civil War.
Civil War, thank you.
Villain from Civil War.
Right.
He's the one villain that actually set out and completed his goal.
Yeah.
That's why he made it on the list, apart from everything else.
Okay, I would continue talking, but he's also on my list, so I'm going to talk about him later.
So, number 4.
My 4 is Obadiah Stane. I would say technically the first Marvel villain, but technically that's General Ross.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges as the most un-Jeff Bridges character, a evil corporate entity.
I'm still sad that they got rid of him.
He's technically not dead. We're not sure if they've reported whether he's dead or not. He
was blown up. So,
yeah, but it's the film thing of we never saw his body.
No, they reported that he died.
Did they?
Yeah.
But this is the same people. This is the same people that immediately were turning around and giving Tony Stark an alibi. Jeff Bridges is a really good villain.
Yep.
He's a really good villain. He's solid. It's when I originally watched it, I didn't see it coming because I was young and naive. But it was the way he twists it and turns it, and the fact that he has all these horrible gadgets, and he's like evil James Bond in that sense. And I really enjoyed him.
He tried to kill his surrogate son. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty villainous.
Dan, what's your number 4?
My number 4, technically people might argue with, but it's the Mandarin. It's the Mandarin.
Oh, he's talking about Aldrich Killian?
But I am talking about Ben Kingsley's Mandarin, not Guy Pearce's one.
Okay.
All right? Because in my head, I believe that what they did ruined it so badly because you could have had the best villain in the MCU right there. But so in my head, the Mandarin is still in charge of everything. He was just playing Guy Pearce like a fiddle.
The problem with that is they released a short disproving
Yes, but I ignore it.
In your own headcanon.
In my own headcanon, the Mandarin's number 4.
They technically said that Ben Kingsley's character went through a lot of cosmetic surgery. He could have done a lot of research. He could have figured out that Aldrich Killian could have figured out that that's what the Mandarin looks like. He could have Ben Kingsley could still genuinely be the Mandarin.
Yeah,
okay.
Could be.
So, my number 4 is Ego the Living Planet.
Oh, God.
Only because...
We have the same reaction.
Yeah.
Hey.
Only because he killed Peter Quill's mama. He gave his mama cancer.
Yeah.
And that is kind of just... Dude, not cool.
That is actually a dick move. Yeah.
And
definitely in bed.
And then there's like the literally mountain of dead children that's underneath his house.
Well, we've all got one of those.
So that is why Ego made it onto the planet. Ego made it onto the list. Nothing more.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me.
So
I need
your
to.
number 3.
My number 3 is a good number 3 because my number 3 is the Vulture. It took me a while to load up my phone there.
Okay, I'm going to hold off talking about the Vulture because he's higher on my list.
The Vulture was a genuinely engaging villain. He's one of the first ones because they chose a good actor to play it. That's the main reason. They made it nice and domestic villain because it was all about the personal issues. They really tapped into why Spider-Man is a engaged character and reflected that with the Vulture. The fact that moment where you Peter Parker walks into the house and goes, "Oh, you're her father." That moment is the most on a knife edge moment I've had in a Marvel film. Just because you're waiting for the Vulture to pick up on the fact that he's Spider-Man, and it just wonderfully cinematically filmed that moment of "you are Spider-Man," green light, turns into the Vulture. Oh, it's good.
So, what's your number 3?
My number 3 would be Red Skull.
Okay,
Nice.
Red Skull's my number 3, so we can talk about my number 3.
We can talk about our Red Skull together.
Yeah, he is a literal Nazi.
He is a literal Nazi, and he is a literal Nazi played by Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
He is good. He is good.
He is very good. And he's still not come back, but his contract says he is supposed to. So
Yeah. Whether he wants to or not, though, that's another
no, he doesn't want to at all. Hugo Weaving hates playing. He might do.
Yeah, I can't...
That might have been back before, because that was back before Marvel became this amazing colossal entity owned by Disney. So now that Disney runs the show, he might have changed his tune.
Yeah, I think Red Skull, although he doesn't, in quotes, do much,
No.
he is a horrible...
Still.
He's a villain so bad, the Nazis hate him.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my number 2 also kind of bounces off of your number 3 because it's Zola.
Okay.
Because for the same reasons of the Red Skull, because it is a good villain, but the fact that he takes his natural Jerry-like perspective on the world, which is I'll stay in the background and just be a bit of a wimp, but then turns the whole Marvel universe on its head by creating Hydra Wave 2.
Yeah.
Everyone is a Hydra agent, and that is amazing that he managed to succeed in that. The fact that a S.H.I.E.L.D. went, I know, big bad guy, let's turn him into a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. What could possibly go wrong? No one really...
Yeah. I like the fact that his whole monologue in Winter Soldier is like the very stereotypical, I am going to tell you my entire plan. It's all just a stall until the missile gets there and blows Captain America and Black Widow up.
Yeah.
So, Dan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Loki.
Oh, we're on the
we're on the same.
I've got Loki at number 2.
I wonder if we have the same number 1 as well.
I don't think we do.
No, Loki is my number 2. I feel like he's actually a fun villain, and it's the first. He is the archetype for all of Marvel's villains since Loki.
I have not included Loki on my list because I don't consider him a villain.
Yeah, that's the reason he's not my number 1.
Yeah, but he was the villain in the first 4 films and
Avengers.
Technically, yes, he's technically the villain in Avengers. I can't deny that. But in Thor 1, he's technically not a traditional villain. Technically, the villain is the people he talks to, the deal he makes with the Ice Giants. So he is a misguided secondary character, technically.
Yeah, Loki. He in Avengers is terrifying. Just because of that bit in the museum when he's got the eye thing and he's taken out that guy's eye. That bit is just horrifying on so many levels. And he gets like these individual moments with each of the Avengers.
Yeah.
That's why he lands at number 2.
Mainly, I did remove it because I like having unconventional lists.
So your number 1, Sam. What is your number 1?
My number 1 is Baron Zemo. Because Baron Zemo, he set out with a plan which was just you killed my family, I'm going to destroy you. That was all it was.
Yeah.
And he set about doing it. His plan wasn't as well thought out as everyone always thinks. Like, it's his master plan to get them right here for them to fight in front of... No, it was just, I wanted to get this tape and I was going to publicly just show it to the world that this is who your heroes are. And that's heartbreaking. The moment where you see that's all he's doing. He's brought these people to clash against each other because he hates them.
Yeah.
That is the most... It is sinister. It's sinister. It's a revenge plot. He's drunk on revenge, and the fact that once he was done, he was going to kill himself because that's all he wanted. He just wanted to leave that legacy of disdain.
Yeah,
and that's why he's a villain. He's still alive as well. He can still become a bigger, more terrifying villain if he wanted to.
So, Dan, what's your number 2?
My number 2. My number
one.
My number 1. I was going to say, I've just said my number 2. My number 1 is... it's Sam.
What do you mean?
Oh.
It's Disney fanboys.
Oh!
My number 1 villain in the MCU is MCU fanboys.
Technically, according to the rules of Ewen, they are not in the films, so...
They're still my number 1.
Why? Okay. Why am I the problem?
You are the problem because you keep giving money to see the same film you've already seen 8 times.
Well, technically, not the same film. Like Civil War and...
This is a debate for another day. I don't want to get too much into it now, but I do think that people sort of crave the same thing, but they keep complaining when it's not the same, and you need to be happy with what you're given, not what you want.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that. I don't think it'll make it on the list.
No, I don't think it'll make it on the list. But
To quote Zola, we do it because we know he can do it. It's crazy because I'll stop quoting.
My number 1 is The Vulture.
He's your number 1.
That is my number 1 because in terms of a villain that you understand his rationale, is perfect. He just wants to make enough money for his family to live on safely and comfortably. He doesn't want to take over the world like all the other ones. He doesn't want to destroy the world like everybody else. He doesn't want to rule it. He's just a blue-collar guy trying to make work because Tony Stark kind of screwed him over. And that is, if Spider-Man was just a little bit older, you can just imagine him looking the other way because he understands that. But because he's a young kid, he doesn't get that. He just doesn't quite get it. Yeah. And it's the same moment at you, like when he finally figures out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. He doesn't kill him straight away. He just gets the gun and he has it on the thing, and he's just like, you're going to go in there, you're going to show my girl a good time, and then we're going to leave it there because you saved her life back in Washington. And that's it. I love it.
I still think Zemo listening to his answer machine message of the last thing his wife ever said to him is more powerful than that moment, though. Because when you realise that she's dead and that's why he keeps listening to that, that moment is more of a gut punch than the Vulture stuff.
Yeah.
But before we make our list, they've got my TV Me wants to make an honourable mention of the Kingpin. Yeah. Because the Kingpin is genuinely the best villain at the moment.
Also, let's not forget Purple Man, played by David Tennant.
Yeah. Those two are villains that I really would like to include, but we can't. And Future Me would like to make honourable mentions of Doctor Doom. He will be coming. Shut up. He is definitely coming into this. And Norman Osborn, because we don't need Hammer. We can have Osborn, and he can be the perfect metaphor for Donald Trump. If you don't believe me, read Dark Reign. That is basically what would happen if Donald Trump was Norman Osborn.
Also, the reason we haven't put Thanos in, I know that we'll get comments on it. At the time of this recording,
currently hasn't done anything villainous.
Infinity War hasn't happened.
No, he hasn't actually done anything really.
All he's done,
a glove and turned around in a chair.
Yeah, that is all he has done. He may be the greatest villain of all time in the MCU. Yeah, but until he does something,
he hasn't even done a day's worth of work. Let alone.
So actors have played him so far as well. So.
Who was the first? It was
the ending shot of.
Do we know who played that? Was it just?
Yeah, it's.
I can't remember.
But let's get on with the list because we're running out of time. So, number 1, I think we have to go with Baron Zemo.
Thank you.
because of the way that you just explained it.
Yeah.
But I made the proviso that at number 2 it has to be the Vulture.
I agree with you because the Vulture is
Number
a strong emotional character.
3, I think, has to be Red Skull because that's the one that we both agreed on.
That's the one we both agreed on.
It has, there had to be one Hydra agent. I wanted to make the unconventional Zola because
So I think at number 4, that's where we're going to. Ooh, crikey! That's where we're going to get a little bit contentious. I've got a couple of. I've got Ego. I don't think we're going to get Ego on the list.
no,
I don't think
Do we put Loki on the list?
Loki technically should go on the list.
I feel like Loki needs to be number 4 on the list.
Loki at number 4. Then at number 5, who do we put?
I think because of the Winter Soldier, it has to be Zola because without, you wouldn't have the Winter Soldier, you wouldn't have all the Hydra agents screwing everyone over. The whole Marvel universe wouldn't be torn apart if it wasn't for Zola.
Okay, what about you? What do you think it should be at number 5?
I think that's all right. I think Zola's all right.
You're not particularly attached to any of the other ones?
Not overly so that I would fight to the death.
Okay, so at number 5 then is Zola.
Yeah.
So, Dan, do you want to do the rundown?
Okay, so at number 1, we had... Remind me.
Baron Zemo.
We had Baron Zemo. At number 2, we had...
The Vulture.
The Vulture! At number 3, we had the Red Skull. At number 4 was... Loki. Followed by, coming in at number 5, last but certainly not least, it was... Zola.
Which I'm going to make your point of it's the same thing over and over again since we've got 2 Hydra agents in there.
Thank you.
So, thanks for listening. Write down in the comments down below what you think your best villains are of the MCU. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. And nobody move.